I usually start with trying to get as much information that I can from the client about the project, because I don't want to get into something and have underestimated it. And I don't want to overestimate something and then not have the opportunity to do it because I've overestimated. So trying to get as much information as I can to A, know if I am even interested in working with them on it, and B, to create an appropriate proposal. And I do base all of my estimates on an hourly rate. Rarely does that actually show up anywhere. But I that's kind of where I start, because that's where I have some numbers and some background, and I can look at, historically, what has it taken for me to do similar work. And so most of the time I start there, and then I also think about what the end product or service is actually worth in the marketplace, and I try to find sort of a happy medium, because I think there's some things that I might be quicker at that are still worth more, or things that might take me a little longer that aren't worth as much. And so definitely playing with that to find a sweet spot, and being really upfront with the client, kind of showing them my process, giving them a hint at what it would be like to work with me in the bidding process, being very organized, responsive. All of that is sort of another thing that I try to do. My contract has a lot of stuff in it. It's not too overwhelming, but it covers a lot of bases. I think one of the biggest ones that I've had to explain would be the copyright law. I think it's like 1976. There was a copyright law put into place that essentially says if someone creates something, they own it, unless there's a buyout agreement. And a lot of clients somehow just assume that it's theirs and they can do whatever they want with it, which isn't true. And so there have been some cases where I've created some artwork, and they have then wanted to sell it to some of their clients. And I've had to say, hold on, we need to talk about what the buyout would be for that, because you technically don't own it. I did create it for you. You commissioned me to do it, but copyright law says it's still the creators, which is me. So that's one thing that I've had to explain several times to clients. It's an unfamiliar idea. Well, there's some clients I work with that if they're a large entity, I'll actually sign an agreement that says whatever I create for you is yours, but it's all up front, and I know that, they know that. So that's a different story. All the other stuff is pretty standard, like payment terms and other breaches that could happen. None of that really surprises people. Being really clear in my estimate what's not covered, hard costs, if we need to buy special fonts or photos or do some video or whatever, that's not included, making sure the client doesn't just assume that. That helps keep it within budget. And then I will issue change orders if it's at a point where they are asking for something completely different or new or additional. I'll just work up a change order, and they're never surprised because they know they're asking for more than what we agreed to, and so that's never been a really big issue. But that is a point where there can be some tension, some miscommunication, and so it has to be handled carefully. Again, just being really honest and upfront and clear, and repeating what we established in the beginning. I love a paper trail, and not that I love having to maintain and get things signed and all of that, but it will save your butt. So keep a paper trail, have the contract, have the estimate, have everything signed. If there's a change order, make sure it gets signed before you do any more work. Get 50% up front, whatever those parameters are for you, but that's a big deal.